It's just loading. It's going. All right, everybody. It is time to talk a little weather. I realize that we have a lot of questions and concerns as this winter front is coming through. By the way, this is my first attempt at streaming, so I'm doing some things a little bit different. For one, since I'm a meteorologist and I'm trying to uh, show you everything. Now I can actually read. I can read some comments, so I think things are working. I mean, I realize that you all know I'm not the most technical when it comes to these sorts of things, so it always makes me a little bit nervous. But I think it's going to work. So we're going to talk about some stuff. I'm going to give you the parameters of what we're looking at over the next 24, 48, 72 hours, and hopefully get you a little bit more prepared for what's going to happen. So let's just jump in. So here we go. The front is going to arrive tonight. The cold front that we've been talking about all week is going to arrive tonight. But the winter weather will not arrive tonight. The winter weather was going to be by tomorrow afternoon. So you can go to bed, you can get up in the morning, your plants and all that stuff's going to be fine. But tomorrow night is where we're going to have those issues. So the winter weather advisory starts at 2 p.m. for our area. I'll show you that in just a second. And also, by the way, since this is my first attempt at streaming this, I'm setting the camera so you guys can see the map. Because, as a meteorologist, what am I if I don't have any maps to show you? So I realize that my head's a little bit big. I'm a little closer than I'd like to be. But I kind of have to do it this way, just the way the current setup is. But maybe we'll get better at it. Okay, so 2 p.m. 2 p.m. on. So tomorrow, during the day, you're fine. We'll see some showers, no big deal. But once we get to 2 p.m., that's where we're going to start to run into problems. And my suggestion is if you can be done with whatever you're doing and go home in the afternoon, you'll be just fine, and you won't even have to worry about it. I think that Thursday night to Friday, that's where we're going to see the real problems. Okay, so freezing rain Thursday night into Friday, and we'll talk more about that in a second. And then, so the front gets here tonight. The winter weather starts to get here tomorrow. And then we have 3 nights of freezing conditions. So it's going to freeze each night, Thursday night to Friday, Friday night to Saturday, Saturday to Sunday. Yeah. And by the way, it's going to be in the 20s. So we're not talking about just a little freeze, almost a hard freeze, but really close for a lot of us. So here you can see the outline of the front. Now, this is also important. So the front is here, but notice that behind the front, immediately it's rain. So tomorrow, when the front has already arrived, for a while, it's just going to be rain. But then notice how it turns into pink, and then the purple. So the pink is kind of a sleet kind of a thing. The purple could be freezing rain to snow, and then the rest of that is snow. In fact, snow is better than freezing rain because snow is it's fun to play in. It just only gets bad if it piles up on the roads. Sleet is not a problem because it's just little ice pellets coming from the sky that typically melt when it hits the ground because the ground, it takes a while for that to get cold. But freezing rain, that is where the rub is. That's the bad thing. That's where we have problems. That's where it starts off as rain, and then it runs into the freezing temperatures and then freezes on contact. So that's why the bridges and all that are going to be worse, which we'll talk about in a minute. So this is a huge storm, goes all the way up to Canada. But for us in our area, Southeast Texas, it's not a winter storm warning. It is a winter weather advisory. And not all of our counties are included in it. So anybody right along the coast, you're not included in the winter weather advisory, nor is Liberty County or Polk County. However, just because you're not in the winter weather advisory does not mean you're not going to have freezing temperatures. We are all going to freeze. Winter weather advisory means that we could see a wintry mix of precipitation falling, but we would expect less than a quarter or a tenth of an inch of any accumulation. So we expect some possible freezing rain, but we don't expect it to be really thick. But it doesn't have to be very thick to be a problem for anywhere like the bridges and the overpasses and things like that. All right, so let's go to our future cast. Now, just the temperatures at this point, and then, well, I'll see if I can do it. In fact, The problem with this setup is that I have pause points set in my computer, but when I'm doing it at this for this, it doesn't allow me to do those pause points very well. So sorry. So watch the temperatures carefully. So 2 a.m. as we head on into tomorrow, that's when the temperatures will start to drop. But it really won't be until 2 p.m., 12 hours later, that we'll start to see temperatures getting close to freezing in the Houston area. And in fact, I don't think that we're going to get to freezing in Houston until later Thursday night, not during the day, but during the night. So that's going to be more of an issue for us than anything, the timing on that. So here's a look, and I hope you can see it well enough. The reason why bridges freeze first, I'm going to come over this side because the bridge is on this side, is that the air gets underneath the bridges. So the ground, for example, will stay warm for a long time. It takes longer for it to become freezing just because it's been soaking up energy from the sun for a long time. But the bridges have air underneath there, and so it cools down faster. So it can actually be above freezing in the area, but close to freezing or below right near that bridge. And so bridges, overpasses, elevated freeways, elevated roads, anything that's above the ground is going to freeze first. Now think about this. In the Houston area, isn't everything like that? Everything is above ground almost, right? Even if you're on the Katy Freeway, it goes up and down, bridge, not bridge, bridge, not bridge. And then you have the big bridges. You know, even in your neighborhoods, if you look in your neighborhoods, if you have a bayou, that's a bridge going over the bayou. Well, that's going to freeze faster. So you could be driving on the road and everything's just fine. And then you go over one of these tiny little bridges and you crash your car. Because that's just what happens for this situation. So I am more concerned about the bridges freezing with the freezing rain Thursday night into Friday. So if we're going to have school closures, which I know you guys love to talk about, I think the school closures would be Friday. And it's not because it's going to be so terrible everywhere. It's going to be because we've got roads that have parts that are frozen. Excuse me. So that's what we're going to be dealing with. But not Thursday, not tonight, not during the day Thursday, but Thursday night. Okay, so that's our bridges. Now, let's talk about what happens afterwards. So by the time we get to freezing in Houston, our chances for precipitation are going to drop to 30%. So the best chance for precipitation is tonight, and then tomorrow, the first part of the day. But the temperatures are still too warm then for us to have any worries about frozen precipitation on the roads. But then by tomorrow night, that's when things change. So after tomorrow and tomorrow night, for the next 2 nights, we'll be freezing after that. So 3 nights in total that we will freeze. And I think that people do need to take some precautions for pipes and people, plants, and pets as we get into those other nights. So the first thing about people, one of the things that's also going to happen with this, not only are we talking about freezing temperatures, but the wind chill is going to be in the teens, maybe even single digits for places north of Houston. Okay, wind chill does not impact your car, does not impact your house. It only impacts warm-blooded animals like us or your pets, for example. And so you want to take care of them. I'm also concerned for elderly people that live by themselves or somebody that doesn't have a very good heating system. And so you want to have, if you know somebody that's a little bit older, you want to kind of check in on them. And also be safe with those space heaters. Okay, it happens a lot. We don't want anything bad to happen with those. Now, as we move on, pipes. Okay, I'm going to stand on this side so you can read the pipe thing. So with your pipes, if you have exposed pipes that are outside, like your sprinkler system, for example, drain it. If you didn't drain it today, if you haven't drained it already because we've already froze, drain it this time. Otherwise, you might have problems. And it doesn't take very long to do that. And then make sure you cover those things up. If you can't get to Lowe's or to Home Depot or something, there, you can wrap a towel. Anything you can to wrap around those exposed pipes and then tape it or somehow is at least going to help. Now, I don't expect a hard freeze in Houston, but we'll be in the 20s. and the 20s is enough to cause problems for us. So if you want to, and if you're concerned about your pipes bursting, now this is not going to be the same sort of situation as happened in last year in February, where people's pipes were busting in their houses and causing flooding, because we're not going to lose electricity this time. However, having said that, beyond that, which I'm not really worried about for this go around, is if you are worried about your pipes, open up your cupboards in your house where your sinks are, where you have those pipes, and let your heater air get to all those areas and to keep them warm. If you're going to drip a pipe or drip in your faucet, pick something that's towards the middle of your house, so the water is kind of moving at least in that direction. Because if you only pick like one spot that's only like on the far edge of your house, it might only take care of that little spot there, but there might be another place somewhere else. And you do not have to make it go gushing through your faucet. Just a little bit of movement is all you need. It's just like, I have a pool, and all we do is just turn the pool on, we turn the filter on, and we just let it run all night long. So we're gonna be running our pool a lot, but even if that gets cold, that's okay. So pipes, that's the kinds of things that we're worried about with the pipes. All right, plants. Now, I know this one you can't see maybe quite as well, but you know about plants, right? So plants, hopefully you've already covered them, or that sort of thing. Now, here's something that I do, because I don't really care about most of my plants, honestly. If they die, I'm fine with it. But there's a few that I really do care about. My wife, she loves butterflies. I know it's a big surprise, right? She loves butterflies, and so I made a milkweed garden in part of our backyard. And it really is pretty cool, because the butterflies, they eat the milkweed leaves, and they turn into monarch butterflies, and it's really fun. It's fun until the cats start chasing them, but that's a story for another day. So I'm worried about the milkweeds. I don't want them to happen. Also, because the weather has been so warm lately, we already have caterpillars eating the milkweed. So I don't want them to freeze. If they get froze, they're dead, and I don't want that to happen. So I've got stakes that I put on either side of my garden, and then I've got a tarp that just goes over the top of it. Very simple. And then I've got the tarp then put down into the grass, so with stakes, so it doesn't move, and it's not really that sophisticated. And then I have incandescent lights, not the LED Christmas lights, but the old Christmas lights. You can still buy them, by the way. They're really cheap. The reason they're really cheap, because they use more electricity, and they use more electricity, they make it warm. So I use those lights to keep things warm. And so I have the lights kind of strung around the bases, and they're little ones. They're not big lights. I don't want to burn the bushes, but they're the little lights. And with that around there, and it covered over with the tarp, the little caterpillars are going to be just fine. So if you have anything like that, now, if you don't have any incandescent Christmas lights sitting around, there's so many things that you can do. Even if you have a small gas heater, I mean, like if you go camping, I've got all kinds of camping gear. And so I have a stove that's not really a stove, it's just a heater. You just screw in one of those little gas things. You can do the same thing with that, put that over. In fact, I used to save my peach trees when we had a late freeze one year. I did the same thing with my tarp, but I put it around the tree. And so kind of so I couldn't get all the blossoms too well, but I tried to cover the blossoms as best I could. But the important thing was I got a covering over the top of the tree and down as far as I could. And I put in, like the buckets you can get at Lowe's or Walmart or whatever, the 5-gallon buckets. So then I put candles in those buckets. And then I put like 3 or 4 buckets, around each tree. And that was enough heat going up to keep the blossoms from falling and to help the trees. So there's a million things you can do. Those are just a couple of things that I've done. And I know, especially, if for a lot of women that I have ever known, they've always had candles. I don't know, that's a thing, but it works. It absolutely works. So you can do that. So that's your plants. Let's see. All right, then the pets, again, we already just talked about, and that's more of, let the cat in. We're a cat family. We had a dog, but he is now in dog heaven. Nor did we replace him after that. But my kids are kind of grown up, so things are changing for us. So we have cat, and actually, our cats, they're indoor and outdoor. Basically, it's whatever they want to do because it's their world and they allow me to live in it. And they don't even like to go outside. So when it's cold like this, they start to go outside. They go, no, forget it. They go back inside and sit down. But another thing you can do if you don't want to bring them in the house, the garage is not a bad place either. Give them a blanket. I mean, it's not rocket science. You just have to think of some ideas that you can do to keep them warm. Okay, so that's kind of the deal. Here's the 7-day forecast. Our highs are only going to be in the 40s. Now, we're going to be in the 40s to start the day on Thursday, and the temperatures are only going to drop from there. And so it's just going to get colder, and it's going to get windy. And the rain is going to slowly but surely turn to sleet in the afternoon. And then, like I said, as soon as it's really got a chance to be freezing precipitation or snow is when most of the rain is going to move out. But there will still be some early Friday morning. And if you're really, really lucky, you'll get snow at your house. But it would be a lot because it's not really, it's kind of the leftovers of the storm system that are going to kind of be moving through the area once that happens. So, but we will freeze Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday night going into Sunday, highs in the 40s. And then even by Sunday, we're still in the 50s. And we don't even get to the 60s until about Tuesday or Wednesday of next week. But we'll get a lot more sunshine. So even when it's cool and we have sunshine, I don't mind that at all because it is definitely better. So just keep in mind also, this is not going to be like the last big bad storm. And I know that question keeps being asked by a lot of people, and they're worried about that. A number of things that are different. One, this is not nearly as strong as that one was. Two, this one is only going to have precipitation for a short amount of time at the beginning, and we're not going to see periods of it for 5 days. That last year, it lasted 5 days, freezing for 5 days. We're going to freeze for 3. And last go around, the temperatures were at a hard freeze for more than 12 hours. This go around, we will be close. We'll be in the 20s, mid to upper 20s, but not below 25 degrees. So 24 degrees and below, that's what a hard freeze is. And some people are going to get there. Some people are going to get there, maybe north of Houston, but not for 5 days. They're going to get there for 1, maybe 2 at tops. And I mean, like even in Houston, so we're 28, then 29. So we just a tad warmer Saturday, and then about 32 on Sunday. So the temperatures will start to go up a little bit faster. Whereas the storm from last year, it actually got colder as the days went along. So it's just not the same. It's not the same beast. You know what? It reminds me like when we have a hurricane, right? And then the next year, as soon as we see something in the Gulf of Mexico, everybody's worried. They're like, oh my gosh, is this going to be just like Harvey? And we get that a lot. And I understand. I mean, after going through an event like that, it can, mess with your head for a long time. I mean, it was hard. But every storm is going to be different. So that's the case too. Hey, by the way, just so you know the event that we had last year, right? The big freeze, and it really was the big freeze. But that it does not even count. It doesn't even reach the top 10 cold events for 3 days or even 5 days. It doesn't even breach the top 10. So it wasn't the coldest weather we've ever had. It wasn't even close to the coldest weather we've ever had. But what it was a weather event that we had without electricity. That was the problem. Isn't that amazing? I bet you probably didn't know that, right? That it doesn't even crack the top 10 for either a 3-day event or a 5-day winter event. I know, it's crazy, but that's how it goes. So it's honestly, and well, let's be honest, how the media has reported, how we reported the story when it was happening. And ever since then, of course, it's going to scare people the way we've been reporting it. And then people coming on and saying, well, we might still lose that electricity. And granted, there's a lot of work that needs to be done on the infrastructure. But I do think it makes it a little bit better when we're actually dealing with the real data and instead of just scaring people. So I hope you're not scared for this event. I'm actually, a lot of it I'm kind of happy about. It's fun. I like this, except for, I don't, the freezing rain on the roads. That's never a good thing, but it's not going to last all that long. And then we're going to pull on out of it. And, keep in mind, like a month from now, a month and a half from now, it's going to be hot again. So that's how it is. Okay. So that's the story. Now, I unfortunately, the way that this is situated, I can't be close enough to the camera to actually read what you guys are saying. So I apologize about that, but I do see that somebody's asking about school. My wife is a choir teacher at a high school in the area, and she was going to have after school rehearsal tomorrow because UIL stuff is coming up. I know a lot of you have to deal with that too. I also have a son that runs on the track team at his high school. And I don't know about my son, but I know that my wife has now canceled all of her afternoon after school activities. And I imagine most schools in this area, and especially north. See, the thing is, it's going to start getting worse, like in Brenham, College Station, Navasota, those places first. And then the cold air will start to get to Houston. It won't get to Houston until, into the afternoon and beyond. But you don't want to get stuck out there in it. You don't want to have a commute with freezing rain going on. And it will be close. It will. So Huntsville, the Woodlands, Conroe, you would see freezing rain earlier than Houston will because that's the direction that the air is coming from. So I don't have any information at all from any school district other than I've seen school districts saying, we're monitoring it. We'll keep you advised. But from what I've learned as of now, most school districts are, as is for tomorrow, which is fine to start, but then in the afternoon is where you run into the problem. So my guess is that a lot of school districts will start to cancel afternoon and extracurricular activities for tomorrow night. And it would not surprise me, and again, this is just me as I look at the whole situation. This is not an official word, but I would not be surprised that a lot of schools just cancel on Friday. And it's not because it's going to be that bad. I mean, it's going to be bad in certain ways, but it's going to be bad in that bridges, overpasses, elevated roads are going to have problems. And can you get to your school without going over a bridge? Probably not. So that's the problem. And it's in the morning. The winter weather advisory ends at 9 a.m. That could change, of course, but I don't think it's going to change because the chance for precipitation will be gone. So without any precipitation, you don't have a real issue as soon as you get the roads cleared up. So we'll see, and I know that TxDOT is out spraying roads. They're spraying the bridges and those overpasses and things, and that makes a difference too. But you all know, if you've lived here long enough, right? We do pretty good. We know what to do when it comes with hurricanes and tropical weather. But when it comes to wintry weather, we don't usually do very well, especially driving in it, which is never a good thing. So we'll see. We'll see at this point. But keep it tuned right here. And I will say this, on our website, we, as soon as anything comes in, what's great about the website that it's kind of automated in that when information comes, there's certain things that can just get pushed very quickly. So as soon as we get it, it's almost instantaneously updated there. And so look for there, especially tomorrow morning when you wake up. I think school's going to be fine in the morning, but I think it's in the afternoon when things will start to get canceled. Maybe sooner for the schools that are north. We'll see, but we'll have all that information on the website. And of course, our morning newscast is from 4 a.m. to 10 a.m. Most of the other stations go to a national show or somewhere else, but no, Fox is local, 4 a.m. to 10 a.m. and can keep going if necessary. If the weather's going to be that bad. I don't think it's going to be that bad, but it's certainly going to be bad enough that we're going to want to pay attention to this. So, and I also say that, we'll do these streaming things as much as we can. Of course, on YouTube, we're updating everything too. And then also on our website, you can see the temperature. See, the temperature is going to be as important, if not more important, than how much precipitation is falling from the sky, whether it's sleet, snow, rain, whatever it is. Because if the temperature is above freezing where you're at, you have less likelihood of having a major problem. Now, and the sleet, for example, or the snow might even fall, but if it hits the ground and the ground is 40 degrees, it's gonna melt immediately. So that's what you want to watch. Or if you're in your car, here's another thing too. If you're driving in your car, do you have the little thermometer somewhere, that tells you what the temperature is like outside? Okay, those are usually pretty good. Okay, and that's something that I watch very, very closely. And if I'm driving in my car and my thermometer that's, so I don't know, I don't even know where the thermometer is, but when it gets down to about 33, 34 degrees, then I know it's slippery. It's time that we could run into ice. And so that's kind of the cutoff in my family with my young drivers when they were young and growing up. It's like when we get to 34 degrees, you guys are driving's done until it gets warmer again. And that's not a bad way to look at it either. So you can just say, if you get in your car and it says 32, you might, do I really need to go wherever it is I need to go? Because it won't last too long, and then things will be better. All right, so that's our first stream. I appreciate everybody joining us, and I'm sorry that I couldn't really read your questions so well, but it's a good start. I'm sure I'll be back here tomorrow night to do another one of these to give you an update. And by then, I'll see it's going to be, by then it'll be exciting because we'll be probably close to freezing by now at this point. So, and lastly, okay, you remember these three things. Okay, whenever you're going through a situation like this, be calm. Don't get excited. Don't get overly excited one way or the other when things are going on. You're making a decision on whether to go out or stay home or whatever. Be calm. Be alert. Okay, watch those changing conditions. Watch those little things with the temperature and what's going on around you, and be wise. So if you're calm, alert, you're going to be able to make better decisions. And that's why I'm doing this, is to hopefully give you some ideas about how to make better decisions to get through this. And we'll all get through this, and we'll be talking about it again in historical facts after it's all happened. So again, thanks for joining us, and I will talk to you soon.